we got stuff down there that's broken, it's not getting repaired. Swing down there, it's had the wood on for 2 years. I don't think it's getting the attention the department.
Which means that
That's what I say.
yeah, I haven't walked through the
You
park.
guys don't, the board don't go down there to police or go through. We've got cameras out to police the kids.
Yeah.
But they don't go through and look at the stuff that's broken, needs repaired. So, I think it's time we form a park committee.
Okay. Well, also, there's another thing with Zach Wood, is he's wanting to try to get together the funding for new park equipment, for the playground and stuff. So that may be something
That's something that a park committee can oversee and overlook. And, we put that park in by donations and grants.
right.
So the other park committee knew how to go out and get the grants.
And some of the playground equipment's been there since they got put in.
They're about as old as I am.
I know, there was some of the little kids stuff that I actually took apart and welded back together because they got busted.
So that's the two things that come to the board about tonight is, I think we need to form a park committee. We're gonna try to put a committee together to research it and see if we can get the gym into this program. Whether we can or not, we're still gonna apply for the, they recognize that it has been there for,
Right.
and that'll be next year.
Okay.
So that's all I had.
That's good. Thank you.
Something we want to get together, an ordinance or something? Park board, do we have one for a park board?
Just reference, we do have a functioning park board. While it's defunct, it's still been an ordinance that it has it in place. It's just not been used. So Felix, unless I'm wrong, you have an ordinance for using it, you then could reinstate it and appoint and do whatever you want to do. In order to receive grant money, if it's local, you have to have a body of government on it. So just food for thought.
Thank you.
And to make it easier, we'll do the footwork on that. Trying to put a committee together because, some of us right now are 80 years old, so we'd like to get some younger people involved. But we're not gonna be here. I plan on
Ray, how many people on the park board?
I believe it's 4. Lester, do you know
it.
different?
No, I don't remember.
I have it somewhere in my mess and I can try to find it.
Okay, well, yeah, let's consider that. Maybe we, instead of forming 5 or 6 committees, maybe we should just have a park board and they should be in charge of the gym.
You
or
can
something like that.
you can always do an informal committee that's doing research that they're doing. And then if you decide to reinstate the park board, you can just have that suck it back up.
Yeah, whatever we decide, 4, 5, or 7, it'll be an odd, we'll want an odd number on the board.
4 seems strange.
It was the only reason I think
Supreme Court.
I want to say it's 4, but I think 1 is a non-voting member or something. It's weird wording, I think. But I'll find it.
And see if a sitting board member has to be in one of the seats.
I think so. I will find it here in just a minute.
But I think what I need from the board is a blessing for us to proceed with us. If they're not in favor of us proceeding with it, there's no sense in spending our wheels in the mud.
Right.
I make a motion that Lester put his magic together and find a committee to get started on this application for the historic side of the gym.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, employee report. Martha.
All right.
I'm ready.
March 25 rather, activity report, and you would need April. I apologize. April's activity report is attached. Property ordinance updates, 111 in South Brown, 221 West High. There still continues to be improvement. There are the scrappers and whatnot that have the blessing from the family because they currently possess the property. They're still doing that. I'm still working on 221 West High. he has made improvements. There's been a large amount of stuff that's been removed from the property. It's just a very slow process. So at this point, I mean, I don't see it. Of course, it's been referred to the attorney already, but I would just say another 30 days to see if there's any more substantial improvement. 126 South Brown was referred to the attorney. Obviously, there was that judgment put against it. We've talked about this one before too. There's times where the property does get cleaned back up and then it reverts right back to it. At this point, I would say another 30 days before you give the final on if you're going to institute that fine against this or judgment against him. 235 West Walnut issued warning for items, vehicles on property. Property has had some improvement. Citation to follow May 31st, which I've spoken with that property owner and there's marked improvement. So we're going to basically reevaluate. 122 East Elm, vehicle's been removed. Neighbor will continue lawn care per the agreement. Per their agreement, it has nothing to do with us on that. Property does remain hazardous. The vehicles have been removed. So that was a big thing this last week. There's a couple on here that I forgot to put on the paper just because my last 2 weeks have been pretty hectic. Was it 211 West Walnut? New people moved in there. They're cleaning the property on the inside, therefore moving all of the junk to the outside. It's very unsightly. I've stopped and talked to him twice now. I'm going to obviously at some point this weekend, I'll stop back by and we'll start going through a formal process with that. I got a thing tonight, a complaint on 904. I believe it's 904 North. In my paperwork. 904 North. I have talked to them. They are not related to this particular complaint, but vehicles on the property that aren't plated, there's vehicles that don't move very often that are becoming problematic. So that's something I'm going to be getting on the more formal process with them to get that going. I will say with the last two vehicles that got removed, there was 4 vehicles removed this last week. So we're up to I think 16 cars in the last year that have been towed out, which is kind of a nice fun fact. I have had a lot of complaints about livestock ordinance, about chickens in town and other livestock. My understanding was that that's not allowed. That's against an ordinance. I sitting here going through it, trying to find the actual wording of it. In my book, I do not have it down as livestock are not permitted in town. Obviously, if that is an ordinance, I'm going to try to find it because that's always been my understanding. Regardless, I'm on the hunt for that, but I wanted you guys aware in case it continues to come up. And then golf cart ordinance, it is being enforced now. We have issued something like 34 golf cart ordinance permits. There have been quite a few. There's been a lot of misunderstandings with how the ordinance is worded by the public. So for the record, just for everybody, in order for it to be operated during the day on a city street, it has to have a slow moving placard and it has to have insurance. In order for it to be operated between the hours of dark and midnight, it has to have functioning headlights, taillights, brake lights, turn signals, all that jazz. However, and a slow moving placard. However, it is not required to have that if it's only being operated during the day. So from the hours, I believe from 6 until midnight is how the ordinance is worded. If I remember correct off the top of my head, they have to have all that equipment on, even though in the summer it's not dark until 9:30. But after midnight, from midnight to 6 a.m., I believe nothing's permitted on city streets relative to a golf cart, ATV, UTV, that type of stuff. Okay. Brings up four-wheelers as well. Four-wheelers is included in that. So that's the same vehicle that technically they can be operated on town street with a slow-moving placard. So it does fall under the same spectrum of how the ordinance is worded, where it does mention about, not that ordinance, but we have a separate ordinance about noisy vehicles and things. So if there's a four-wheeler that's being operated in town, it's properly permitted and all that stuff. If it's still extremely noisy and a burden onto everybody else, that permit can be revoked. So that's the update on the golf cart ordinance. The baseball league and the girls softball league parade was canceled. I think it was, if I remember right, it was raining that day. I've had a lot of days since then. So the IT side of things, to talk about that real quick. To my knowledge, this computer updated, so I was yelling at it just a minute ago, but I believe we are live at the moment. So that's a big step, obviously, because July 1st, that becomes mandated. This is a kind of a practice run for the board and for the public to be understanding of this. Basically, I'm working with Keegan to get the agenda on the website before the meeting, and the minutes are going on to the meeting within, I think, what do we say, like 3 days?
Yeah, by Wednesday.
By Wednesday, I think. So the next following business day starts the 3 days. So that's happening. The second part of that, and Felix, this kind of brings you into the wormhole a little bit. That's why I gave you a copy of it today. But there's been a lot of, as you guys are all aware, my full-time job, I live in the land of liability and litigation and stuff. So my official opinion is it is very, very dangerous for you to have any government communication in your personal or work email because it gets sticky really, really quick. If there's ever a Freedom of Information access request, it can pursue long enough and hard enough. And Felix, feel free to hop in. But they can go in and get all your emails and look at all the stuff you've ever said. And that can become problematic. Not that you guys have anything to hide, but we all want our privacy, right? So with that being said, we obviously own a domain via the website already. So I have jumped through the hoops for the last, I don't know, probably 4 months we've been working on this. 5 months since the beginning of the year to get it going. I've officially got our domain, which is townofsharpsville.in.gov. I've looked into establishing a Microsoft account that will use this email function, and it's got mixed use accounts. It'll replace my Microsoft subscription, his, Keegan's, all under one umbrella. So it's not really going to be much of a higher cost than what we're already paying for the service, except we're now getting email out of it as well. So that would move all Sharpsville communication out of your personal emails and into a formal email that if I were to be fired, or if Benji were to be fired, or if the clerk were to quit, you could change that email over rather easily instead of having to rely on a former employee or whatnot to get their password, and then hopefully, you can get access to it. So my recommendation is obviously to pursue that. Again, the plan is approximately $600 a year. It can be broken down to monthly or annual. We're currently paying approximately across the whole entire town. We're probably paying close to $400 a year in subscriptions for Microsoft Access. So this is not, $200 expense to secure emails and keep us out of hot water if we were ever to get into it. Okay, and then obviously the Tahoes at the Street Barn's being stripped. Thanks to Tom and to Benji for continuing to get that project nailed down. Charger also had service this month, tires and alignment done at Best One in Tipton, and then it worked about 2.5 hours, and the radiator decided to get a hole blown in it by the fan. So then it spent another couple days at HP, but that's back up and running. Last couple of weeks, I've been in and out of town working a lot of evenings and late at night. So if you haven't seen me, I've been attending senior instructor course at the Law Enforcement Academy. So I've been hit and miss. The other big thing, I have continued to meet with a couple development people that are interested in pursuing the opportunity to develop specifically the 47 acres between the town of Sharpsville and the Tumbleweed development. If that were to move forward, obviously everything comes before you guys regardless. I'm confident that somewhere between the next 60 and 90 days, there will be presentations brought before you on getting this going. Obviously, you guys, we've talked about this before. It's been in public meetings that the time has come that the town needs to start doing it because it's getting harder and harder to have the simplest of things. We all want nice streets. We all want nice parks. We all want nice sidewalks. Got to pay for it. We can only pay for it by getting people here. So I'll get off my soapbox on that. But regardless, my plan, at least in the conversations that I've had with a couple, was to have something before you guys in the next 60 to 90 days. I'm tickled because it's a lot more of a garnered interest than I ever thought. It's always been talked about, never done. Well, it might actually be happening. So even no matter how the market goes, they're going to have to build houses. So, and then as far as go down to needs, requesting permission to move forward with the purchase of the 2023 Dodge Charger from John Jones in Salem. The attached quote, or the quote is attached. The full upfit, that is for the vehicle and for the equipment, is $48,757.50. A 5-year loan via First Farmers, which obviously is who our banker is now. At ballpark the quote, because ironically Tom's here, but I had him give me a high and a low, and I'm kind of just splitting the difference because where the quote came in. Our annual payment for that 5-year loan would be $11,500. If you reduce the police budget or paid out of the police budget, $4,000 a year, which is, I think we can make that work on the police side of things. And then approximately $7,500 out of the general fund for the next 5 years. That will get us a brand new police car, full warranty and all that. So it's going to be, which if you guys look at your quote, it's going to mirror the Charger. So it'll be pretty much matching, except we're saving some money because we're moving some equipment from the Tahoe over to the Charger. Obviously, we purchased the Tahoe out of COVID money a couple years ago. I never would have thought it would have blown an engine. Obviously, that crap happens sometimes. So with that being said, the value of the Tahoe is in the ballpark. If it was running, it's in the ballpark of $18,000 to $19,000, give or take. Kind of depends on what your definition of good or whatnot is. Obviously, it's $8,500 to $10,000 worth of engine work that has to be done to it. So obviously, our next step is going to be at the discretion of you guys. No local tax money is out on that. Obviously, it was initially purchased out of that was ARPA. I can't remember the word, ARPA money. So whatever you guys choose to do moving forward with that. Right now, it's sitting in the barn. It's not sitting out exposed or anything.
Dispose of it the best way you can.
I have no problem if you guys want me to of reaching out and seeing what kind of numbers I can come back with before you guys decide to open it up to take bids or anything. Because there's one of two ways. My personal recommendation is to open it up, take bids once we know kind of what it's worth.
Is that an item that we would have to get?
Yeah, probably. If we're gonna spend money, we're gonna vote.
No, I mean on some of the old.
Well, it depends on to whom we sell it. We can sell it to other municipalities or governmental units. I don't know, who are we talking about selling to?
Nobody.
We don't know yet.
I'm just trying to get prices. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be the first step, and I have no problem going and as far as just seeing what it's worth.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, or salvage or whatever price we can get, obviously.
Somebody be willing to purchase it for the.
Yeah, I mean, regardless,
Or-
right, regardless, bringing it to you guys because you'll have to open it up for bids, or you declare it as excess and then wholesale it.
I
But
just don't know that with it not running that we can get 3 bids for it.
Right.
There's not gonna be that many people out there.
No, yeah, and that's not that unusual, not to get 3 bids. That's fine, we get 2 bids.
well, I'll work on that, and then I'll try to have something for you guys next month to at least reference. But yeah, so to recap, because I was long-winded, I apologize. The 2 requests, obviously, that I would need your guys' action on if you wanted to move forward with it. The IT plan for replacement of emails and all of that, getting that stuff set up over the next 60 days or so, which isn't a lot of manpower, it's just communicating with them. So that total between $400 and $600 for the year. And then the second would be obviously the police vehicle. And if that were the case, permission for a motion for Keegan to pursue that with the bank.
I'll make a motion to go forward with the IT work and the money that's needed for that. An extra $200?
Yeah. I really don't even think it's going to be that much at the end of it.
I'll second the motion on the IT item.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I'll make a motion to move forward to purchase the new police car and receive our financing from First Farmers Bank.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay.
So just for the last of mine, the last of mine, I'll just work with Keegan and probably Tom over the course of the next week to try to nail down that details. In all reality, it'll be between another 4 to 6 weeks before we get it. So just FYI.
City vehicle usage. I spoke to Indiana Pump again today. They sent one of our pumps back. The quote that's attached is showing the price on a pump if we have to buy another one new. The one that was in there that went out, it was a seal fail, and Homa that the pump came from will not warranty it because we do not have a seal fail switch, I guess is what they called it, in the panel. So they reinstalled it. They took the one from the water plant that we had, those installed it, and then the other one that they brought back from being worked on, they brought it back, put both of them in there. Both pumps have been running.
They fixed that flange at the bottom.
They have to fix that still. The way it was, it's a 6-inch or it's a 4-inch discharge that drops down to a bunch of different things to make it turn into a 6-inch.
Yeah.
So they were doing that. I've called 2 other companies. One, Farm Valley Supply. They do panels. Same with Xylem, and neither one has called me back on coming out and looking at it. I had one guy send him, he wanted pictures of the panel, sent him pictures of it, never heard back from him. So I'm still kind of stuck with Indiana Pump for right now. They were going to send over another quote, just kind of like an updated quote, but going to have it done in time. They're saying like rough estimate, 65,000 could be more, could be less, and that would be the panel. They also gave us a 20% discount on the pump since it failed so quickly. And that's through Indiana Pump that gave us the discount. Also, we had water leak at 515 North Church Street. Started to dig and then had to call in back. Omni Electric, they brought their back truck out. 4-inch gas main and 2 abandoned 2-inch gas mains were right there with us. And then, so once we got down to that, it's just repairing the water line. Also dug at 313 North Meridian Street to see if the line was leaking. Still haven't seen anything. So I don't know if I just need to call somebody in and have them run a camera through that line, see if there's something leaking.
I don't know if they can run a camera through the line, can they?
Probably not, unless there's a way that they can hook onto the line or a different way.
To let the other 2 board members know what's going on there. This is down at, where Brian Hartman lives. He's getting a lot of water in the basement in his sump pump, and it's running constantly. We were thinking that it was a water leak on that line out in the driveway from being ran over. Benji dug it up, put a sound equipment on it and stuff, could not hear water running. So if the water coming into his basement is something to do with us, we can't find it. That's a real. But with the sound equipment on it, should have been able to hear water flowing, and he didn't. So we have no idea where that water, that was kind of an exploratory dig. There's no leaks on our side. So I don't know what the next step is. Benji and I were talking about it. Pardon?
You check for fluorine in the water?
Yeah, we got a sample. We don't know if it actually came from the water down in the basement, but there was a hint of chlorine in it. And,
Out of the sub pump pit, is it chlorinated?
Out
Out of the sub pump pit, is it chlorinated?
I can't say 100%. We weren't let into the basement.
Well, I think I checked that before I go worry about anything else.
So, and that's what I told Benji was we needed to get a sample, but we had a sample brought to us, so I don't know.
I don't know why he wouldn't let you in there if he thinks it's town water.
I don't know. I'm not gonna try to read between the lines on that, but
Did you ask to get the sample yourself?
yes.
Okay.
We're also put the stop signs up North Street, Elm Street, and on Washington, North Street and Elm, and on Washington. I'm gonna add one more stop sign to North Street, facing north on North Street. May 19th, I'm gonna plan on doing the, hydrant, flushing all the hydrants on May 19th.
May 9th.
Yes. That is all I have, other than the Indiana pump, which they were working on another updated quote from them for that. Also, I got a call back from Ruby Kessler from IDEM, and she had sent out my paperwork to take it to IDEM, or to Ivy Tech for my water class. Still haven't received it, but she ended up emailing me over a copy that I just have to print out and then get scheduled with Ivy Tech again to go in.
If you could, before the flushing, post that on the
Yeah,
marquee.
Yep.
So we won't have time to get it on the bills.
yeah.
Anything else?
That's it.
Have attorney comments.
Okay, so first thing for Ray, I've not yet written anyone letters on the Horn property and releasing that judgment.
Okay.
Are we ready to do that, or what do you think?
My recommendation is another 30 days. He has had improvement. He improves for a few weeks and then it goes right back. Right now, we're kind of in the middle. My recommendation is give it another 30 days. And if not, I'd file it. Or excuse me, I said that backwards. Obviously, that it's
We're
already.
gonna offer to unfile it,
Correct.
that's what we're gonna do.
Correct.
For pennies on the
I-
dollar, or 25%.
I personally, at this point, I would not pull it yet because while he has improved, he's not within good standing of our ordinance. And I would say it'd be a waste of time and money for us to pursue that, only for them to make a little bit of improvement and we then pull it off. So my recommendation is to leave it in place and maybe in 6 months we revisit it. I can do it as far as in 30 days, but I'm not a judge here, obviously. My personal opinion on it is if we're going to enforce it, let's enforce it. And let's make it actually have some kind of proof that he's going to maintain that, not just temporarily satisfy and then we go away. Just my opinion.
Sure, well, right now, let me just give you the status, it's a lien on his property, so if he tried to sell it, or he died and he left it to someone, they tried to inherit it, there'd be a plat on the title unless that $9,500 is paid off. And eventually, that'll go on his property taxes, and of course, instead of his paying $1,000 a year, or $1,900 a year or something, all of a sudden, he's gonna get a bill for $11,000. And eventually, Mark Renee, the county attorney of Tipton County, would put it up for tax sale. So that's how it'd be enforced. We're not really enforcing it. We're not trying to foreclose on our lien on the Davis property. We might, but the cheap thing, the thing that's worked in the past, it's actually gotten us paid in the past, who's got the property temporarily cleaned up in the past, was just letting Mark Renee and Tipton County handle their tax records. And when it goes up for tax sale, usually either someone buys it and pays that amount on to us, or what's happened on that particular Davis property is they redeemed it at the tax sale and paid us. And, you know, the reason we still have a judgment is it relapsed, which it still is relapsed, is it not, right? Davis property?
Other than the vehicles being moved, you might have them backwards. The Horn is the Horn property is the one that continues to go back and forth. Davis, other than vehicles being removed and a neighbor taking care of the yard, there's been no change in years. In fact, it's just gotten worse.
All right, so that one, yeah, we're just gonna let Mark Renee do his thing. All right, the cheese factory, but on Joe Horn's property, we'll keep an eye on it. Before, you know, we bankrupt him or something, we'll make him a deal. But it's gotta be in compliance, which as we sit here today, it's not, am I right?
Which is one? Which one? Yes.
It's,
I wouldn't
right now, it's not in compliance.
No, I wouldn't think it at this point.
Cheese factory, we have a lot of interest in that, and IDIM has actually said, well, give us a footprint of what you might want to develop on that. As you'll recall, Brian Snyder, the developer, has been here. The next step is he's gonna get a footprint for some condos or apartments, we're not quite clear which. And he's gotten as far as to say, hey, there's only a 2-inch water main that runs that property. Is there some way we can get 8 or 9-inch? There is an 8-inch water main, right?
There's a 6-inch water main
6
that runs down. The largest we have in town is 8-inch.
Is it within 100 feet of that property?
I thought we had an 8. No, that's right. This was told to me that was an 8 out here. So the largest we have in town is 6.
And is it within 100 feet of that cheese factory?
It runs right down the wall.
So that sounds like yes. 100 feet?
Yeah. And it
Okay.
tees off to a 2-inch. It goes to, I think that's 6-inch down there, isn't it, Josh?
Because the steamer hydrant across from here is just regular hydrant. I think the 6-inch is normally just right here in town and down to the pump house. The rest of it's 4-inch. That's a bit, the cheese factory had a 2-inch service.
4-inch.
4-inch on Walnut?
Yeah.
So the biggest thing we can access within 100 feet is 4-inch, is that right?
And then it tees off of
That
that
would be
to a 2-inch line that fed the cheese factory.
Okay. But within 100 feet, you could access 4-inch, is that right?
Right.
You also have a line running to the south of that,
4-inch.
4-inch.
Also 4-inch.
South down,
Down Elm,
So within 200 feet of that property, there are 2 4-inch lines?
right, one on each side of the property.
Okay, all right. See, that would be important to them.
Okay.
And the reason that's important is, depending on the footprint the developer has in mind, IDIM might not make us clean up that property at all, which is ridiculously easy compared to what we thought, you know, when I first got here, that we can't, you know, disturb even a piece of dust for 5 years, and then after that, we can't dig down more than a foot. And, you know, IDIM said, no, we didn't say that.
If we get to go ahead on it, now, myself being, not even being on the board, but being a close neighbor to that property, I particularly wouldn't want to see apartments, because the apartment people come and go. If we had condos in there that somebody's gonna buy, then they're gonna stay.
So we prefer condos over apartments,
Right.
just that, I mean,
That's
obviously, we're not
personal.
voting on that, or.
Right, that's just personal opinion. Like I said, if somebody's gonna buy a piece of property or a house or a condo, whatever you want to call it, they're more apt to stay than a rent.
Oh, sure.
And I just, we've got rental properties in town, so we could lead away from that.
Well, he's got some nice ones he just built in Elwood that are apartments, and we had a lot of big concern about Elwood, as you can imagine. But they're nice. I mean, they have not hurt property values around, they've raised them,
Right.
so. And if we could get nice apartments that raise property values and didn't have to do a cleanup that cost $1 million, or maybe even cleanup that cost $1, that'd be nice. The only other thing I have, and so I'm meeting with them saying, look, IDIM is saying, give us the footprint. You know, if you're paving it and just putting a slab on there, you don't need to clean up anything. Have little kids on a playground, we don't care. Well, if that's true, man, That's a big difference from having 2 acres in the middle of town with hazardous waste signs around it. That's a huge difference. So we'll see where that goes. Rails to Trails project, man, I can't tell where that's going. Does anybody have any insight as to why we got an abandoned railroad track running through town that's not a trail?
I do. Partly my fault. So, preface, it hasn't been used since what, 09, give or take?
Yeah.
I think. In 2017, the school came to me and asked about vacating it as getting with, I think, Norfolk Southern to vacate the property, which they did. At that point, I got it documented, brought it to the town board at the time, and they vacated the use of what it is based on we could remove the railroad signs, so school buses and stuff didn't have to stop. That's what started all of it. Since then, I've had 3 conversations with Norfolk Southern in the last 2 years. Of the first conversation basically was if the town of Sharpsville wants to offer to purchase the property in its entirety, meaning from one area to another, some 6 north to the creek, let's just say, the town can do that. Obviously, if the town acquires the said property, you're not getting any value from it. You're not getting any value really from it anyway, because railroads don't really pay that much in taxes. We would actually be saving money because we currently pay for access for our lines to go underneath said unused railroad, which is ironic to me. But anyways, since we're paying for those lines anyway, we'll save that. So as far as any movement on it, there has been no movement on it. I have had a conversation early part of the last winter, so probably November, December, or late part of winter, about with the Tipton group that is wanting to establish a trail. To my understanding, unless somebody knows better than my understanding, is that the ultimate goal for the Rails to Trails project, the Tipton Trails project, is one, obviously to connect both sides. The biggest one is connecting the schools. If a trail comes our way, when a trail comes our way, it will go to the school first, and it would probably connect to us some way or the other. I would imagine by way of the creek or something along those lines. So there's been no movement on it.
Yeah, doesn't that railroad go Kokomo to Anderson or Kokomo?
No. So if it does connect, I gotta stop saying that. When it connects, because it's going to one way or the other, with all the grants and things that the Tipton group, because they're now a 501c3, so they're a full-blown charity. They're getting grants. They're getting money that we could get to.
What's that name, Brad? Tipton what?
Tipton Trails Project, I think.
Tipton Trails.
Tom, is it Tipton Trails?
Yeah, that's the name, but I can't speak.
I know you can't speak to it, but
Your characterization, they're getting all kinds of grants is probably a little more generous.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay. Hearsay's hearsay. So
Yeah.
that's the word that I got. But regardless,
Trying to get a lot of grants.
Well,
Sure.
If it all would come to fruition, it could go all the way through Oakford and then actually all the way behind the Hilton and the old Damon's restaurant and join up with the Industrial Heritage Trail,
Right.
which joins up with the Nickel Plate Trail, which goes up to Manchester and everywhere else.
And south, where does it go? Elwood?
No, it would.
Noblesville.
To Atlanta, yeah.
Atlanta.
the full connection would be, I think, all the way down into Noblesville, because that's where the Tipton.
The Tipton Trails project,
One
what we know about that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know where that track
It's
was?
like any great cause, you got folks along the way don't want it in their backyard.
Mm-hmm.
So I've seen those meetings that some of the most regular attendees for that are folks that don't want it to happen, so. That's kind of the facts of what is out there. Not in my backyard.
Yeah, which is interesting, because your backyard doubles in value as soon as it goes through. You know, they're worried about burglaries and things like that. Well, an abandoned railroad track is what causes burglaries. Rails to Trail causes joggers, which actually keeps an eye on your house.
I'm not going
But I
to.
hear all that same stuff about the Monon Trail until everybody's property value doubled, because they're now living on a park.
Ironically, I'm only speaking to this because it just got brought up about crime rates. I actually did a case study on it when I was in college, and the statistics do not support that accusation that it brings in crime. Generally, when the crime occurs, unfortunately, like Carroll County a few years back, that was a big one, unfortunately. But it's usually a big event like that brings it into bad light. Just FYI.
That's it, and, we'll report back on our next meeting with the developer on Cheese Factory. I'll talk to Tipton Trails people, that's a good tip, at least they'll know, who's opposed and who's in favor and who has money for it, and where it goes. Because we've got like half a trail kind of like that through the middle of Elwood. We've been trying to develop. I think part of our problem is we're not quite sure where it goes, we're not sure who to talk to. Sounds like the trail people at least will know that.
Council comments.
There'll be some folks here next Thursday night, 5:30 to 7. There'll be an open house here at the town hall. Basically, they'll have a look at the plan for Sharpsville that will be part of the full county plan that is being proposed and is being worked on. Folks will be here to answer questions and things like that. 5:30 to 7:30 it is an open house. Everyone is welcome, so.
And that's the US 31
No,
corridor?
no, this is the county comprehensive plan,
Okay.
like what is gonna be happening, what, agricultural zoned areas, residential zoned areas, things like that, countywide, and they want to start an area planning commission. We already have ordinances and things like that. I think, from what I know, Windfall and Kemp are not, and they've kind of said, no, we don't want to be a part of it, but we noted interest, and they are coming here just to show what is gonna, what they propose and what could happen, so. But that's 5:30 a week from today. You're all welcome.
I wanted to, really with you, did you ever talk with the car lot people as to what are the vehicles on the south side of their building?
I did,
that
and
look
when-
Terrible?
Yes, because I think there were Equinoxes or something like that. I
There's
did.
a couple Ron's town cars.
Mhm.
Is he waiting, is he waiting for parts? Or
I can't speak to Ron's cars, other than their bane of my existence sometimes. But I think there's two cars that are there that are supposed to be going to scrap. But I'll reach back out and talk to him again.
to have them try to have it
Yeah.
taken care of?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I noticed coming into town, that railroad track is so noticeable, and that Shepherd business has those railroad ties we've
Mhm.
talked about. If we could get those things moved.
I will talk to them. Legally, they're not ours.
I
Legally,
know
they're not
ours,
his. But I will talk to him.
Okay.
I'll see if we can't move them or stack them
He
differently.
should have I think he has the heavy equipment to move them, at least into his
Well, they
place,
have the heavy equipment to do what they did. So yes,
and then keep that weed eated so it looks nice.
I
'Cause
will.
you guys mow some of it. And then all of a sudden, it's just a huge pile of yuck.
Yeah, I'll have.
On the right, as you come in.
Going out, what's that road, Dogtown? I
North.
know,
North Street, then it turns on Trent.
Yeah, I'll talk to him.
It's the building behind where his grandma
Oh,
and grandpa lived.
Gotcha.
And they took up part of the railroad track to be able to get in and out, and it's just,
Okay, yeah. I forgot about that. Anything else? Open discussion?
I'll say one thing before everybody gets going. If there is just a reminder, one, we are live streaming, so that has started. I'm tickled because it's actually working. So there's that. Then the second thing, just for what Lester had brought up, I did research on it. We have had one since 1977. It is 4 members, 36, 10, 3, 5, Felix.
Yes, sir.
And it was in 2024. It is a four-member board, all of which are appointed by the governing body, being you three. One is appointed a 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 4 year term. They all do expire that January 1st. It's yearly only. So there is an ordinance on the book to reestablish that, if that's what you guys chose to do. It would just simply be you appointing people to the board.
What was that ordinance?
36-10-3-5. It's 2024.
And Lester said he would look into recruiting members
And
to
did one of
to
them be,
suggest to us.
one of them be good?
It does not specify. They're all appointed by you.
Okay,
So yeah, my recommendation is somebody needs to speak for the town council. And I think Lester said that he would do like a 20-year term. So, well, the boss just said no. So,
We'll be lucky to be here by
Oh.
20 years. That's what I was thinking about.
I got something.
Hold up a minute. We'll let you talk. But because you're not a town employee, you're not a member of the community, we don't have to let you.
This is an open discussion.
But if you're not
So
a
you're just
member
trying
of
to
the
keep me
community,
quiet?
no, I'm saying, I'm gonna let you talk. I'll let you talk, but just contain what you say.
Oh,
And how
yeah.
you, and how you say it,
I only have two things.
okay?
Keegan, I'm still getting emails from my pay notifications. Please get that taken care of, so I'm not getting that. Two, I'm trying to figure out what's funny about me getting fired. You've laughed at me, the dad's thing for Mother's Day.
Laugh
Soon
at
you saw me, started laughing at me. Tom, I went to the gas station. You all right now? See what you did?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's real
I'm
funny.
laughing at how it's coming across because I nodded at you. I
Okay.
acknowledged you at the dad's thing.
I do too. And then Tom tried to start something this morning at the gas station, be trying to get it killed. The town employees are just trying to start stuff to just trying to get me to do something or what? Because I was fired for unjustified for trying to speak up about operations that's not going on in town.
We're not gonna discuss that here because that's taken care of in your unemployment.
And finally,
Hey,
And
I don't
do
mean to
greatly
interrupt you,
appreciate
but
that.
hey, let's start by stating your name, because I don't know who you are.
Greg Russell,
Okay, and you're a former employee of what?
town of Sharpsville,
In what department?
the utility department.
Okay, all right, so go ahead. What were you saying?
Well, when I was fired, I contacted the unemployment. It did take a while because there were unjust reasons of my unemployment getting delayed. I have still never been talked to had an opportunity to talk to the board privately, like I was supposed to be given. Then automatically shut down every time. I did send a bunch of pictures to the council, Lori Hood, Councilmember Lori Hood. She does have a lot of pictures and information of the wrongdoings that have been going on in town per Mr. McNally approving of equipment of being used or sold for the church that someone's mother-in-law operates, town equipment to be sold to be used for that. When I get fired and avoided for 3 weeks because I was out plowing the streets for the town, when I have heard nobody complain about the roads in the town being, when it was snowing, being icy or anything. I was using the plow and not the salt to use the money in the town, just instead of, we had the equipment to work to do it. But Benji, he is very lazy on how he operates. And a lot of it comes from Mr. McNally. There's a lot of talk that goes back and forth between the two of them that are approved and not approved without the board. I think someone went on to last month about the oversight of what goes on. There's no oversight in the town. A lot of the town people really need to pay attention to what goes on because and especially drinking water. I believe Mr. McNally got the town in trouble one time before with IDEM, so I'm sure it's still that way. I've worked here for the town long enough, since 2002, or 22. The town was saying the unemployment, I didn't start till 2024, which was completely false. The documentation for the town is completely all screwed up. I mean, it's really way emotionally and to me, and then have to come through town and then having people like Tom, that's part-time, giving me and like threatening me, just going to the gas station and staring me down, driving down the road. What is that all about? I mean, I don't understand. When you told me to grow up, when I talked to you, sent you an email, a text message about what was going on, you told me to grow up and act like adults. Well, I did that,
Both of them.
and I keep doing that. And then I still get treated like this. And then I come to the board to talk, still shut down. Nobody wants to hear what actually is going on in this town. And that's why this town is not growing and it's stuck, everything's falling apart because somebody can't pass a water test with a 40% and bragging about it. And it's had at least two opportunities to take the test and still not qualified to do it. And I don't see how that can go on when I was hired in 2022 and that was supposed to happen within a year. And to get his license to be a certified water. But that's my speech.
Okay.
Everybody needs to know what's going on in this town.
Thank you.
Hi, it's me again. So last month I brought up, being a volunteer to be on the water board. Has there been any discussion among the three of you of following that ordinance?
Not a whole lot, but we can't discuss a whole lot outside of open meeting and executive.
So that's do you follow the ordinance or do you not?
We haven't had a water board
I realize
in
that.
at least 20 years. So,
Since I've been here, Steve. I knew it was on the books.
do what?
I said there hasn't been any, even when I worked here from 1977, 1990, but I knew it was on the books, and I think there's a need for it.
Yeah.
And I know you don't think there's a need.
No, I don't
You
think
I got a vengeance with him.
I do. I'll be
All
honest.
I do is think is we need someone that will work. That's. Rob, you've been on the board how long?
19 years.
19, those 19 years, have you ever been, okay.
Yeah.
Have you been in it?
Yes.
So, how does it look to you?
Last time I was there, it was fine.
So when I was there just not long ago, the downspouts are going from the gutter. There's mold all over the siding crack. I asked him 2 years ago about putting that cupola back where they pulled it. Remember the cupola? They're still not done. And I want to know another thing. You start that generator every week,
Yeah, it's not every week, it's every month.
okay, as long as. it's-
But we're also
A law
I just got it, getting it on for getting looked at regularly, because it hadn't been done that since I started, even before I started. I've never had anybody, I never knew there was anybody that came in there and worked on it. I had to have somebody come in and look at it from Cummins because
But you keep a log on getting it running every
Yeah.
week or every month. or whatever. Okay, I just wondered about that. And then I also sent you a text of, I don't know why people wanted to draw to me about the problem, but do you have tank lids, septic tank lids available or not?
yes, I think I've got one left down at the water, or down at the shop that I can
I
bring up.
know 4 that need replaced.
Okay. If you
I
want to give
think
me,
I sent you one address.
yeah, you got me the one address, the one over there on North Street.
Right. And then there's another one on North Street. There's one on Elm Street and then the corner of Main and. But the one on North Street is the worst one. It's got a hole that's about this big. From where they tore down the house. The Christians.
Yeah.
They hit that and there's a whole lot. So definitely there's water getting in there. So I just, I think that's all I have.
One thing, maybe just, I know people come to you because you've been here for so long, they trust you. But just try to refer them so we have a record of people's complaints. Just refer them to the office so he can at least take their name and number and their complaint. And then, maybe that will make it more official.
Yeah.
And I would,
I don't mind them coming to me, 'cause
I know.
I'm interested in getting something done.
I know
As a
that.
matter of fact, there is one thing, and I think Lester, you reminded me, the town hired someone to sweep the streets. I don't know if it was another municipality, but I was wondering if the city of Tipton or the city of Kokomo, we could pay them to come and sweep the whole damn town.
We had, Tipton, or Windfall.
With the street sweeper.
They had a street sweeper, and this was before my time even. They were hired, they were gonna rent their street sweeper off of them, but they wouldn't let anybody else operate it but their guys, so they had to do that.
I think that we should approach the city of Kokomo or the city of Tipton and ask
Us.
an hourly rate and a one man and clean the whole
Okay.
town.
I'll get with Tipton,
And
Kokomo,
then-
Newtown.
After you did get the streets all swept, then it'd be a great time to do some hot patch.
Yeah, the one we've got one.
That little bitty one,
Yeah, it wasn't meant for,
that's for inside a building.
yeah, it shouldn't been, in my opinion, bought, but
I didn't think it still ran.
it does.
Is the mower keep breaking or what's the deal there?
We got it serviced for the year and had them inspect to find either hydraulic or oil leak on it.
So you got it
But
back and
it's
then you have
back.
problems again?
No, it's back now. We've been mowing with it.
On the topic of the water board, I would be for that in an advisory capacity. You bring things, that water board could bring things to us that needs attention, and then we could then agree that, yes, that needs attention, and try to get it scheduled. We just have the one utility employee, full-time, so.
We got Tom stepped up and he's been helping out.
He's part-time.
He's full-time right now. But we need to look into hiring at least some summer help.
Okay.
The Tom should be mowing, and that's it, but he's been helping Benji and stuff on digs and mowing, trying to keep up with everything.
I didn't realize he had switched.
Yeah.
In the spirit of transparency, the ordinance that everybody's referring to has been on the books since 44, and it was revised in 1980. And it pretty much by its very definition, it is all three of you plus two that are appointed by you. They're all 1-year terms, same as the park board if that was to be refounded, or not refounded, but reappointed. And then, unless everybody wants their water bill to be $3.98, I think that's about it. Which I'm sure everybody will be fine with that.
Oh,
But it is on the books. There's nothing repealing that if you chose to go down that path.
And what are you looking at there, Brady? What's
The Bible.
that?
I have Article 9 of our ordinances, Chapter 2 under municipal waterworks. I would be more than happy to get you a copy.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me, but as I recall it provides for it, but we don't have to do it. And at any point, we can revoke even the ordinance that provides for it. So, we put it on next month's agenda and vote to repeal Article 9, Chapter 2, or whatever it is you decided, then there can't even be a water board. But does it say in Article 9, Chapter 2, what the function of it is? It's just the board members?
It runs the
That's
utility. It is
The board members plus 2 citizens?
Correct.
That the board appoints?
That the board appoints. So it's 2 advisory. It doesn't specify how. It does not specify if they have to be restricted to wards or north or south. Nothing like that. It's
Citizens, though.
It's
Charlotte.
citizens, yeah. No, it would be citizens of the utility
So it could be
because
outside
it's not
Charlotte.
It's not technically, right, it's not technically the government body. Obviously it is, because the 3 council members would be on it, as well as 2 members of the public.
I mean, I'm not looking at it, I'm just gonna have my memory of it.
And I can, afterwards, I can get you a copy.
So it might be something to put on next month's agenda and consider.
Consider getting rid of.
Well,
No,
consider getting rid of it, consider appointing 2 more people to it, and just consider it generally.
That, the thing I brought up earlier about the gym. We have ordinances on the book, but the board controls them. So if the board considers they want to get rid of the gym ordinances or the park ordinances or any ordinances in town, they can do it. So if this board moves out, new board comes in and they want to fully control the town of Sharpsville and the workings of it, they can get rid of all the ordinances and do it the way they want to do it.
Could have done that in the past too.
And then you're called a dictatorship.
Could have done that in the past too.
But the other thing I gotta ask you is, why are we looking at our new employees and we fired one? And the town hasn't been given a reason why we fired one. Why do we wanna buy another police car when we've got 2 white trucks down there, one of them can be converted into a police car? They're not being used.
Something to think about.
But that's the way I look at it. Why do we have to have 2 police cars? Why do we not have 1? We only have one deputy patrolling at a time.
We had, what, 2 before I even came on board.
No, yeah, but we didn't have 2 before that.
No.
We
We
ran
only
this
had
town with 1 police car. It's only 4.6 some miles in the city limits. So why do we have to have 2? The other question is, my big concern is, why did we get rid of a town employee if we're gonna hire another one? Nobody has given us that answer.
Well, couple things about that. One,
Can,
it's bad legal advice to give people a reason for being terminated. But number 2, even if it were good legal advice, we can't discuss HR matters up here in public. That's just the fundamental rule of public meetings.
well, I understand that, but we live in a town of 500 people, and you don't think we don't know the rumors, why you party? And nobody justifiably proved them rumors to be true, as far as I know. That's all I got to say.
Anything else?
Nothing.
I moved to adjourn with signing the minutes.
Thank you. I'll make that motion to adjourn.
Second. Any opposed?